When The Night Manager first aired in 2016, it felt like a rare television event. Stylish, tightly plotted, and anchored by commanding performances, the John Le Carre adaptation quickly became a benchmark for prestige espionage drama. Nearly a decade later, Season 2 arrives carrying enormous expectations, and sadly, it struggles to justify the wait. Despite flashes of its former brilliance, The Night Manager's long-awaited return feels more like a reminder of what once worked than a compelling continuation of the story. A return without urgency. The most immediate problem with Season 2 is its lack of narrative urgency. The first season thrived on momentum. Every episode sharpened the stakes, drawing viewers deeper into a world of moral compromise and quiet menace. Season 2, by contrast, moves cautiously, often mistaking slowness for sophistication. Plot threads are introduced with intrigue, but rarely developed with the tension required to sustain them. What once felt like a tightly coiled thriller now unfolds in a series of familiar beats, leaving the impression that the story is circling rather than advancing. Strong performances, weaker material. The cast remains one of the show's greatest assets. Performances are polished and committed, with returning characters slipping easily back into their roles. The problem is not acting but material. Characters who once felt dangerous and unpredictable are now constrained by a script that gives them little room to evolve. New additions to the ensemble offer promise, yet they are often underused or reduced to narrative devices rather than fully realized figures. As a result, emotional investment is harder to maintain, even when the performances themselves are strong. Style over substance. Visually, The Night Manager still looks impressive. Lavish locations, sleek cinematography, and an unmistakably glossy aesthetic remain intact. But this emphasis on style becomes part of the issue. Where Season 1 balanced elegance with edge, Season 2 leans too heavily on atmosphere, using beauty as a substitute for depth. The espionage elements, once sharp and unsettling, now feel sanitized. The moral ambiguity that defined the original series is present in theory but muted in execution, robbing the story of its psychological bite. The weight of time. Perhaps the greatest challenge Season 2 faces is the passage of time itself. The television landscape has changed dramatically over the past decade, with espionage dramas becoming more complex, daring, and politically resonant. Against this backdrop, The Night Manager feels strangely dated. What once felt fresh now risks feeling overly familiar. The series doesn't fail outright. It simply doesn't push far enough to reclaim its former relevance. Final verdict. The Night Manager Season 2 is not without merit. It is competently made, well-acted, and visually striking. But competence is not enough after a decade-long absence. Fans waited years for a return that would expand the story, deepen its themes, and match, or surpass, the impact of the original. Instead, Season 2 settles for comfort and nostalgia, offering a polished but ultimately underwhelming experience. For a series that once redefined the modern spy thriller, this return feels less like a triumph and more like a missed opportunity. After 10 years, The Night Manager deserved more, and so did its audience. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, and share.